Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
Hey, got it.
Oh, we're on.
We've been on for an hour, TL, and you still haven't figured out how to do it.
It's only a minute late.
That's good.
Well
Well
done. Better late than never.
Well done. Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
Very good. Let's drink.
All right, let's start with the wine. Ladies first.
What do we have to do this week? We had to do a Chardonnay from the Hunter Valley this week.
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
Chardonnay from the Hunter Valley. So this is a Pools Rock. You don't say anymore.
I told you before we started. I called it.
Yeah, you did. But you know why? You know why? Because I bet we all went to Dan Murphy's, and Dan Murphy's need to lift their game in Chardonnays from the Hunter Valley because there's about 4 choices, and there's the cheaper, and then I figured, you'd have to spend the most.
I went to a different Dan's, and the Dan's I normally go to has quite a few, so I thought I'll be sweet. And when I got there, it was more like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And the other, I picked up 3 bottles that were from the Hunter Valley wine cellars, but the grapes I were getting for the wines were from other places. So
that's what I did too. Yeah.
What year are your 2?
Well, we've had 16 before, and we've had 18 before because I brought them both. So mine's a 21 this time round.
Mine's 21.
21.
TL's is either going to be a Ernest Hill, a Scarborough. You don't let me finish on a Margan. And the reason he picked Hunter Valley Chardonnay is because that's all he's got in his wine fridge. I know, I've seen it, so he didn't have to go anywhere or do any effort whatsoever.
So Margan was in my Dan's, which I almost picked up.
Same.
Yeah, but it's not. You would have lost because the Margan Chardonnay that's in Dan's at the moment, the grapes don't come from the Hunter Valley.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
But see, your 2021, that's really young. This here was the last one before the drought.
What year is it?
And the flood and the fires.
What is it? 19? Must be 19.
19, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And we spoke about that house many times now. And Jeremy Scarborough is a beautiful man. Anyone who ever plans a day in Hunter Valley, you have to go to Scarborough Wines. Really nice people.
We did the podcast, so we're going to if people go looking through, we interview.
He's such a nice guy. I mean, and they've got 2 houses. You have to go through. They're only doing now the degustation in the other place, close to Broke Road. And it's very, very professional. And you got rooms, everything set up. You got tables, you got a plate with all the cheese and everything. It's really nice and professional.
Yeah.
Isn't that where we ended up in Charlotte and we got into a fight with the hostess?
No, it's not the place.
It's not the place. I reckon that's the place.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
You guys bought the case and shared the case. I get it.
We'll do that next week.
When Charlotte said I laughed. I couldn't believe it.
No, that's nice. Have you guys actually had that before?
Bloody nice. Yeah, if you're listening, I said we've had it 3 times.
No, but didn't you say different years?
No, I haven't had the 21 before, no.
That's actually nice. I was reading how it said it had the hint of cashew taste, and it actually really does. Usually when they say that stuff, I can't even tell, but I can today.
You shouldn't bag Vivino because they're going to
anything.
sponsor a show, but their ratings are so misguided on that bloody thing. It's only 3.8. That's a beautiful Chardonnay.
It's taken over quite a few different vintages.
And it depends.
It's not off the one vintage. So
no, but the later ones, mate, the later ones we had, the 16 and the 18 were well over 4. I think one was a 4.3 and one was a 4.4.
Yeah, but this one hasn't got enough votes to give it a proper rating. So if you have a look at the ratings, they've taken them off different different vintages. It
Yeah.
doesn't work properly on this one. I had
That's
to look into it.
It all depends on how many reviews the wine's actually got.
Yeah.
Some
Anyway,
have
all good.
1,000.
Well, actually, yeah, it is not, but overall, it's 3.8.
Yeah.
Which is rubbish.
Yeah, where mine is 4.4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, mate. Yeah, thanks.
So it's
Enjoy that.
free. Hey, can you show me whether it's got a blue dot on it, TL, please?
Just enjoy
Can you
your
show me
case.
whether
Just
there's a blue
enjoy
dot?
your case.
The blue dot
What's
was
the
it.
blue dot?
Yeah, you got me.
Oh,
Did you
no,
go?
the Luangs?
Did you go, Mark?
No. You know what? I actually find it quite hilarious because, and I hope the Luangs don't mind me saying, but eldest Luang, who's been, well, not eldest Luang, eldest boy Luang, who's been stealing wine off his parents and everyone else for as long as he's been alive, has decided now that no one else is allowed to touch his. So he's invented the blue dot system where all the wines that he now buys, because he's finally put his hand in his pocket, has a blue dot on them and whether it's Alex or AL written on it so that no one can return the favour. He's been doing it for 20 years. But, now all the wines he buys with Dad's credit card aren't allowed to be drank by anyone but him.
Stop.
No, I'm serious. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Oh, you're kidding yourself, brother. You're kidding. Alex, you're kidding yourself. The blue dot. Anyway.
He's a
TL, you've got a gripe. You got something you want to talk about?
Yeah, as we said a few weeks ago, if anyone's got an issue, they can bring it up to us, and then we're going to try and apply a little bit of wisdom and have a bit of discussions. And I heard from some parents that there's a school. It's the St. Justin Catholic School in Oran Park. And what happened in the school last week is that some kids apparently have been graffitiing the bathroom, the toilets. And because obviously the school's a bit upset, so now what they've done is not to just try and find the culprit, but they decide to punish the entire school. Every kid, before they can use the bathroom now, must be thoroughly checked by someone, a teacher. And I think there's quite a few parents who are jumping up and down. I don't know. So they brought it up to us, and I thought, hey, we'll put it to our wisdom. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, I know it's a big problem in schools. Like my kids have all gone to the Catholic school up here, and even there, which they're really, really strict and great school, but I know it's a continual problem with the graffiti. The kids knock the taps off and all things like that. But I don't know. That's almost like feeling like a jail thing that happens, isn't it? Like, I don't know.
It is. It's. I was about to say that. And how are they searching? How are they searching?
Yeah, how do they do
Are they
that?
going through metal detectors? How are they sort of? Is it a body search? Is it a? Because you're not allowed to put their hands on the kids.
That's right. They're not allowed to.
Dressing them up as older boys, Chris, and then it's okay.
Oh, I didn't hear that, mate. What'd you say?
I said they're dressing them up as altar boys, which makes it okay.
Oh, I've got so many jokes.
I thought it was funny when I heard that. I thought first it was funny, and then I thought, hold on, what if it was my kids? You'll see me in that school straight away, because that's the closest thing to putting a star on someone so that they can be identified. Here now, you imagine you're in a hurry. You have to go for that week, but no, you have to queue because we're taking our time, making sure that no one's going to, like, as if now they're going to graffiti the bathroom. For sure, they're going to graffiti somewhere else. And then what? We also going to check them when they're in the classroom. We also going to check them when they come to school. What are we doing? And the question is, isn't it then reflective of the culture of the school? Maybe the school should look at their leadership and look at doing things differently rather than lining up kids. I mean, what are we teaching these kids to become?
Yeah.
I think the heart of fix is the culture issue, like you said. The easy fix is
to punish everyone.
No. Well, no, it's even easier. Just put a bloody fake camera or a security camera outside the front bloody door of the bathroom and work out who bloody graffitied the school. That's the easy fix. For who are you checking
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't
Well-
have cameras in bathrooms. That was my first thought. And I went, oh, hang on, that's not.
No, but
in.
Cam, I
But,
actually think you can, because I'm pretty sure my son said that that's what they did at his college. They put the
oh,
cameras
but they do that on down the school as well, because
not in the stalls, obviously, but just in the entrance, so they can see who's in and out and what time. So, and the bathrooms get checked off like in McDonald's. So someone has the job of going in there, checking, making sure, and then if they can see on the graffiti wasn't there last hour, but it is now, they just go back, roll the camera, and who was in there.
But you know what? Even old school, I remember when I was at school, we used to smoke in the bloody toilets, right? And the teachers got obviously wind of it. I suppose they could smell it. All they did was increase the patrols into the bathrooms.
Yeah.
So as they were patrolling the yard, they'd walk into the bathroom 4 times more than they usually would. So then we had to move somewhere else. I mean, so there's so many other ways, and forcing kids to empty pockets and doing a pat down like they're going through freaking security at an airport.
Yeah.
Seriously? How old are the kids? What are they? It's primary school or secondary
Yeah,
school?
primary school, primary.
Primary school
wow.
kids, unbelievable. Seriously.
I'd love for one of the kids to still sneak a pen in there and just write on the wall, I win. And then
You didn't check the crack.
I think
Yeah.
it breeds more rebellion. It breeds more rebellion when you do stuff like that. I went to a Catholic school, and a couple of times they tried to crack down on different things, and both with male and female. The girls were wearing their shirts too short, their skirts too short. And
Yeah.
the guys were doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing, so they'd sit us down at assembly. Mate, year 9, Mrs. Houtman at year 9 sat down at assembly and called all the girls in the school sluts.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and what the crackdown did, mate, the girls just fired up, and it got worse than ever. And every time they tried to crack down on us with anything, so it's about the culture. And if you can't amend for your lack of leadership or lack of supervision or lack of culture by punishing the kids, you'll never win. You'll never win.
You know, when you have a look, like most players before the All Blacks used to just throw their dirty jersey on the ground. What do the All Blacks do? They hang their jersey even after the game. So it is a question of culture. What worries me is that a school like that, like St. Justin's Catholic school, I'm just thinking, are you really looking at the ramification of what you're doing? What are you teaching my children? You know, what are you teaching the children? What else are we going to start monitoring like this? What else are we going to do in check? You know, a body check, a touch and feel kind of check. I mean, what else are we going to do after this? And I think that then worries me, not just about the bathroom, but about everything else we do.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give the parents? I mean, what would you say to the parents to do? I mean, what are you going to do? Write to the Catholic board, the Archdiocese, and have a whinge and a moan to them? I mean, obviously there'll be some repercussions from that. But what else? I mean,
I think as parents, it's all about unity. And the topic that we're going to talk about today, instead of being individual, you have to act as a team. And parents should really all walk in there. First of all, they all have to use the bathroom and see whether they get checked. and then they just have to make their point.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's pretty interesting concept, because you will get, there's a lot of in school parents groups, there's a lot of piss and wind too. There's a lot of people who will talk a lot but do nothing about it. So trying to unite them, you'll get people who don't care, you'll get people who care too much, and then people in between probably are the voice of reason, but probably won't get involved because they're usually the voice of reason. So I don't know, if anyone stopped my kid going to the toilet, there'd be dramas. I don't know what sort of dramas, but probably nothing that's going to help anybody.
Anyway, so that was a subject for the week, and hopefully the parents who's listening to this can see that we've shared a bit of wisdom and a lot of wine. Don't take it seriously.
A lot of the same wine.
Well,
A lot of the same wine.
One different.
A lot of the same wine. We've united.
Yeah, 100%.
We've united. All right. So this week, didn't realise I was opening a can of worms, but I've opened one. So we're going to discuss the salesperson's dilemma, how to work as a team while also working for yourself. It's something that, especially in our industry, is something we've got to deal with every day. And as a salesperson, you have to deal with within yourself. As a manager, you have to deal with as part of a team. And as a business owner, you have to deal with as part of a culture. So obviously we're in a game where the individual is rewarded for result. The person who sells the house gets the commission. The person who lists the house gets the commission. We, as leaders, managers, and individuals, set goals a lot of the time based around income and based around those results. And yet we expect or hope will come harmoniously into an office environment where everyone is out after their own money and work as one. So does it happen? How should it happen? And how do we make it happen if we think it should? They were sort of where I was going with it. But the more I thought about it, I started arguing with myself. So this should be interesting.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, like you, Cam, I think there was a lot of them, and I think that essentially at the end of the day, what people are, whether they're in a team of 3 or 4 or 20, you still are your own business within the business in a way, aren't you? Because you're still responsible for your own actions, you can train with a team, but if you're not training yourself outside of that team as well, you're only going to remain at a particular level, aren't you? So you're still a business within the business, essentially. But I've always been a believer, if you want to, what's that quote? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, and I think, I think there's particularly in our industry, there's agents that probably would rather stay working on their own than have the assistance of the other people around them, because perhaps there might be a little bit control freak, if you like. But I just think, how much has it changed recently with, how many agents do you see now with these pods and things like that, where they've got all these assistants around them, and, many hands make light work. So is that right or wrong? I don't know.
The pod's an example. Too much of a team, especially the way a lot of them are run, where there's someone sitting on top of that pod and the rest are picking up the scraps. But sorry, Chris.
When you put this topic forward, I had a look at it and gone, then I've really thought about it. When I come down to it, I've gone, you know what? It's going to come down to the individual office and how you would answer this question. And if you're in an office with bad culture, you'd want to be by yourself. You'd really want to be a lone wolf in an office with bad culture, because it is dog eat dog. It's every man for themselves. But in a team with good culture, with a set of written rules and a set of unwritten rules, which would be make up that really nice culture within an office, there are so many advantages for working in a team.
Absolutely.
And then off the back of what Lou was saying, you really are your business within a business, but by the same token, you're going to go further with a team. What's the old acronym? Together, everyone achieves more.
Yep.
And it's proven in many businesses that teams always outperform the individual, always. And I can go into a heap of different, avenues of, the negatives versus the positives. And I'll go the first one. That first one of dog eat dog in a bad culture to supportive and giving in a good cultural team. And we can dissect that a little bit later as we go. But I think it's a good team culture is worth its weight every day of the week.
Yeah.
I would say that you made a pretty grand statement that a team always beats an individual. I can think of a couple of examples where one of the biggest performing teams on the Central Coast is full of individuals doing it for himself.
I'll ask you this then.
I would also suggest that I know individual agents within different teams that are extraordinarily high performing without a care in the world for what happens to the rest of the team.
Yeah, but is that
does team always beat the individual?
and I said, it comes back to that comes back to their culture. If you're in a high performing, like if you're in a mini team, that's a bad culture within a maybe a good cultural business, and that's unfortunately one rotten apple in a bunch, you know. And I ask you this:
rotten apple's making $2 million a year worth of sales.
Is it worth their? But is there worth their? You know, their soul.
What's the motivation for others to work as a team?
Then I ask you this: would that individual that's writing really good figures, would he be writing more if you had a team around him?
Well, would you be pretty happy writing $2 million a year?
Oh, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but that's not the question. That wasn't the question. The question was, there's people being a sole agent writing 2 mil, and there's people writing 2 mil with people around them, right? And treating them like dirt. Well, that's a cultural thing. But would that one person, is he totally solo? Is he doing it all himself, or does he have administration staff there to support him? Would he do more if he had more people directly around him, buyers agents and prospectors and so? Would he do more, or she do more? Would they do more? That's the question. It's a very hard question to answer, and I've actually put that down. I think it all comes down to the individuals sort of culture within themselves. They may have that the controlling factor where they can't let things go, and for them, they're happy to do that. Albeit good on them, go for it. And if they're getting a little bit of support from the team, it's still the team that's helping them, maybe with administration and photos and whatever. But if they're happy to do that, fantastic. But I honestly believe if that person was taught to run 2 or 3 people under him, they'd make another $1 million. They'd go from 2 to 3, maybe 4.
Your initial thoughts, TL?
I'm listening. I think you guys are doing bloody brilliant job, so keep on going. What I'm asking is it a question of money, or is it a question of leadership? Because for the moment, we're talking, what if they're making 2 mil? But hold on, I've seen team doing 2 mils. I've seen solo guys doing 2 mil. So is it money? Is it leadership in that regards? And then really, are we really saying that we have to decide between team or individual?
Well, I think
or should it be something that depends on circumstances?
I think the other issue, Cam, is those teams that have those high-performing agents that are by themselves, the owners of those business are really held to hostage sometimes because they're not creating any new superstars and not bringing people off the bench into the game to start creating that next generation of top performer. And that's where sometimes even leaders sort of come unstuck. You're saying, oh, it's great to have these superstars and they're making this money. It's great. They're getting rewarded. The owners are getting rewarded and the team's thriving. But that can only have a short lifespan.
Yeah, because what happens if those 1 or 2 or 4 people leave? Then exactly, Chris. Who's a
conversation for leadership? The initial topic was born out of salesperson thinking, right?
That's so what I'm getting at. So with
salesperson dilemma. So as a salesperson, how does a young guy?
So what I'm saying, Cam, in that, what I was getting with that conversation was, as a young salesperson coming into that office with 2 or 3 top performers that do it by themselves, you've not got that, ability to go out with them and sort of start to learn from them. They're not taking you under their wing because they're so busy listing and selling, right? But if you're in a team of people where they create those pods and there's a culture of giving and teaching and sharing, those new salespeople, I think, will flourish a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So what I see is young guys, especially guys, not only guys, but especially guys, come in, and whether they've been in the industry for a couple of years or they're brand new, their sole focus is themselves. Their sole focus is the money on the board. And their sole focus is, what can I do for me in any given situation, as from the very trivial to the very serious when it comes to dealing with clients. Now, the question, the topic was born out of how does a new guy come into any situation without top performers or with top performers, in a good cultural office or not a good cultural office, in an industry that is solely focused reward is in money and huge sums of money, right? And I know Thomas, you said is about money or leadership, but the mindset of these people who are all about themselves is a money mind, is in their head about money, right?
Yeah.
All for me, none for anybody else. So regardless of how good the leadership is, regardless of the culture in the office, regardless of how generous the office or the business is as a whole, I still see people in it completely for themselves. Now, as I said to you, I see huge teams of people where every individual is in it for themselves, and that gets poured out behind closed doors, or when you lift up the covers and see what's really going on underneath. And I see other smaller offices where there's one or two giant performers who couldn't give a rat's ass about what's going on around them. So where is the motivation for a young guy who's coming in to not make it all about him? Because he sees all around him people just doing it for himself and winning.
Oh, again,
How do you tell a 20-year-old guy that's not about the money, mate? It's not all about you.
Because I think you got to look at too, work-life balance, the whole work-life balance thing. And my thoughts are,
20-year-old doesn't give a shit about work-life balance. 20-year-old wants to be the best and
Right,
tell
but if
everyone they're the best and have 80-foot signs in the air that says I'm the best. They don't give a shit about work-life balance. Well, how do we help them?
Cam, you don't have to talk over Louise, number one, and you don't have to talk about yourself, right? So let Louise answer for the rest of the.
I was just going to say, 20-year-olds clearly don't. I get that. But if they want to maintain a career in real estate, you want to work at that pace, I can almost put my life savings on it. You won't be doing it at 40. So you've got to look at having these goals and what motivates you and what gets you out of bed every day, and you can still essentially, sorry?
Money.
Yeah, of course. But I think it's a dangerous way to be an agent these days. I think as I said earlier, I think many hands make light work. And like Chris said, and Chris made a very good point, if you're a leader of an office and you have those, and they're not essentially 400-pound gorillas, but in the same sense they can be or could be, because they're calling the shots. Their leaders would be too scared to say anything other than whatever you want, you get. Because if they're making that kind of money, you're hinged. You can't. So it's a very dangerous. As a leader myself, I would never allow that, because I can't teach the younger people coming through everything. It comes from the experience of everybody else in the team and the different personalities and the different ways in which we can combine strengths and collaborations and things like that we can learn from, and so I think it's a dangerous way to be. But anyway,
I speak from my personal experience. When I first joined that office in Westminster Hills, the son was a top performer, and there were a few good performers, and there was one or two losers with a tie and Mickey Mouse on the tie. And my advice to people, now that we're talking as a salesperson, thinking whether it's a team or individual, you must beat the top. You must beat the top. There is only when you have a voice, they will listen. So what I did was I just spent 3 months just to beat the top. Not only I spent 3 months to beat the top, I actually told the leader I was going to beat his top performer in the first month, but I only picked one area. Instead of giving myself a lot of areas, I said, just in listings, I'm going to double him. He was going for 4 listings, and I said, I'm going to go for 8 exclusive listings, brand new in your team. And the only thing is I went out and I did what I was told, which is door knock. And I beat him. When I beat him, now the leader has to choose. He has to pick. Now, so again, I'm speaking from experience. I made a sale that I negotiated on my day off. And I still remember I was up in the Hunter Valley, and I said to the leader, do I have to come back to Sydney right now to do the exchange, or can it wait for tomorrow? And the leader said, no, it can actually wait for tomorrow. While that happened, the son found out that I had the negotiation and I had the price agreed to a certain price. He went and exchanged behind my back with somebody else. So the next day I walked into the office and I learned about it. Well, I'm not the kind of guy that just sits down and when it's wrong, just to take it. I just gave it to everyone. I gave it to the leader and I packed up my, this is my desk and I left. And this is my first month in that office. Anyway, my wife said, have a look. I've got a one-year-old and I'm about to deliver a second one. You better go back to work. Because none of that crap. So my real boss sent me back to work. So I went back to work. But from that minute onwards, the leader in the office knew this guy's got rules. He's got what is right is what he goes by. You want to hold on to him? You're now going to have to do whatever is right because maybe your procedure is wrong. It's not right. So I think that my first advice to salespeople is go in there, shut up and work to get a voice, because when you have a voice, you can do a lot of things. So don't go in and ask for this and ask for that. Because yes, you're going to work in some offices and we just got a guy come into us and he said, well, any lead that normally came into our area would just go straight to the salesperson. Back in where I used to work, I said, no, it doesn't work like this here because that's not the system. Because when you do this, how the hell does a new guy prosper? He's going to go out, he's going to get open house people, he's going to start working people. Oh, you work in her patch, you live in his patches. And I just have to give it, I'm sorry, I'm not a communist. I do not go to work, leave my wife and my children to pass leads over to others. And so if the rules in the office is already wrong, not fair, wrong, well, I'm out. So first, the first thing to do is this the right place? But you need to get a voice in order to change that. So not only I kick his son out of business within 2 years, I took his position as a sales manager because I think, and that's the best revenge. You get to a level where your actions will set rules.
You touch the bit you touched on, which is where I was trying to get to, is the bridge between working for yourself and working as a team is values. Right? I don't like the word revenge, TL. I'm sorry, I don't think we should be sending people out for revenge.
No, he took my sale. I never forget that. You take my sale, I never forget it.
Yeah, but that's so in everything you said, what you did there, you didn't break any rules and you did it the right way. So how does someone come in or be in the industry for a long time and be their own business in the business like we tell them to be and be a team player? Values. Do everything the right way. But it's not as simple as listings and sales and that stuff either. It's how you treat the rest of the office. It's how you talk to the people at the front desk. It's how you handle. It's how you act as a whole. Now,
because how many
the scary thing about people acting as though it's all about them is at some point to keep it all about them, they're going to break a rule. They're going to break a procedure. They're going to say, oh, I didn't know that you'd spoken to that guy. Oh, I didn't realise that we couldn't talk to buyers inside of 7 days. I didn't know this. I didn't do that. You're going to start breaking procedures, and then you might get away with one depending on the office you're at. But then what do you break to stay number one? Then where does it get to? You've got two competing offers from different agents, but it's all about you. So what are you telling your vendor? What are you telling your buyers? Right?
Yeah, but you have to really have a voice, Cam. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. I agree with you. You got to fight to be the best. You got to fight to be the best. You get in there and you be the best.
Yeah,
100%, 100% in everything. You want to be the best salesperson. You want to make the most money. You want to have the most listings and the most sales. 1,000%. But the only way you can do it right is by sticking to the right values and the right culture, and whether that's the office's culture. Chris said before, if you're in a bad office, it's all gloves are off and just hell for leather. No, you've got to have the right culture in yourself.
So,
That's
so
right, culture within yourself.
I got a
Have
great
right culture.
nickname a great nickname and a horrible nickname all at the same time in my first office. Now that I think about it, and it was Honest Cam, because they were calling me Honest Cam as a piss tape because I wouldn't lie to anybody or do anything wrong. And that became a joke. Oh, he's Honest Cam again. Imagine being in a place where being honest was cause for a bloody nickname. Like what?
But I think it all does come back to the culture, and we can all think of offices, or I can certainly anyway, where the culture is that they all hate the manager. That's the culture. And I'm not talking about offices in our network, of course, but I'm talking of, and I'm not necessarily talking about real estate, but sometimes if the culture's not set correctly from the top, the team create the culture, and sometimes the team culture, that's what they band over, is that they all hate the same manager or whatever. So I think it's very important. Yes, values, yes, and your own culture within yourself. But I think you look back over the years and the great experiences that I've had with leaders in my life, and you ask me what made them great. The only answer I can give is that they had culture, and that's it. They just had, it was, like that was what it is. That's just one word to describe them, and that's it.
yeah, but the problem is that I go beyond culture. So sometimes you look at the culture closely and you go, there's no way someone's going to make money in this organization. Culture, no culture, right? Like I get a lead, and it's in Bateau Bay. I have to give it to the guy who serves Bateau Bay. In the meantime, he's there doing his nail, having long lunches, but I have to give him all the leads. I think it's wrong. I think you must break the culture. I think this is when you must go individual. The first thing that I always tell people when they start first day of recruit training, you are in here in business for yourself.
Yeah.
You are leaving your wife, your children home to be working around people that you can't say you love.
Mm.
The first thing is that you owe to do everything you can right now to take whatever you can, extract whatever you can, and bring it home. If you're not, then already you're not a team player by your family. That is the definition to me of individual. Yeah. And then afterward, as a team member, you must make the place where you stand a better place. If the rules are wrong, you must change it. And the only way you can do this is have a voice.
Mm.
And I've gone through all this. So when we're talking about this topic, I have started in a place where they had no rules. They had cowboys and they had individuals. By the time I took over the sales managerial position, we were a team. We had procedure manual, and it was very clear. And every single time I ask people about procedure is, if the procedure is not fair, I will change it. The procedure is not about looking after someone. It is always about being fair by the business.
What you just came across though, Theo, it sounded like you're telling people to break the rule first before you question the rule. Go out there, take that lead and do it, and get your money on the table. And
I didn't say that.
That's how it came across.
No, I didn't say that. It's not even how it came across. I know you're trying to push me, but
no, we own a business together. I would hate for someone to come in because I didn't like one of our procedures.
No.
I'm going to do it my way anyway.
No, you go out there and you get listings the way that they say, but you get more than anybody else. Now you got a voice. Now you can change things. Right? I'm not saying that you have to go and say, no, I won't do your stuff, and then no. Unfortunately, if the rules are impossible to play by, don't play that game. One of the things that I've read lately is, when you go to war, never play the war by using the other side's strategy. Yeah. So you have to use your own strategy, draw them into your strategy. And from my own experience, when you can end up your first month with 8 exclusive listings, now everyone listens, even the leader, because the leader is sitting there going, that's a lot of money. Now you got a voice. Now you can say, I think that's wrong.
So
for example, the one of the rules that we had in my office is that every time there was an inquiry, we had to do the communist way. So you'd get one, then the next guy would get one, the next guy. And I'm thinking, hold on. If I spoke to every buyer here in the office, I have to make every sale. So I decided I'm going to talk to everyone. And when the leader got complaints, I told John one day, John, what is the number one complaint that buyers have? And he said to me, all right, just go to work, because he understood it has to be right by the business. So your rule must be what's right by the business. When I hear things like, I had a guy, he just joined us, and he said, well, you know, whatever leads come by, if it is in my area, it should go to me. I go, since when? And this is not communist area. So if you've done your work and I see that you've been in contact with that person, sure, I'll do that. But if you sat in the back of the car and enjoy the stereo, I'm not going to do this. So why? Because the business comes first. What are we teaching the business? To be lazy and be fed, or to be proactive and make things happen?
Yeah.
So you moved into leadership a little bit. So I just want to close off on salespeople first. The first thing I think you need to realize as a salesperson is there's enough for everybody. You really need to have an abundance mindset. You really need to understand that sales slides are free sales signs, right? That's the way. And was one of the other leaders in our network who told me that early on, because I used to hoard, mate. I used to freak out every time someone would show one of my properties. How dare you take a bite of my house? It's my listing. You know, I had this I was the person that I wrote the topic about, right? And the minute someone said to me, you realise once a house is sold that someone else is probably going to sell nearby, and I went, shit. And all of a sudden it was a free-for-all. Everyone sell my stuff so I can go and find more.
Yeah, but
until you read, sorry, you're right.
It was not so long ago, Cam, that you would have a new guy do your open house or show buys, and then the credit would still go to you.
We're talking about leadership, not talking about salespeople. Well, leadership
but you just went to your listing. You just went to your listing. That's what I'm talking. So, but you were taught that, and I'm thinking, isn't that wrong? Because I'd sit there, and this is what brings me back to what I said at the beginning. If the rule's impossible to play by, I'm not there. Like, I'm not gonna go into a gunfight and I just got a pocket knife. I'd be stupid to do this. And so
I can tell you that as long as it's been 2.5 years since I've had anyone do an open home for me without getting paid for the result. So I can tell you that.
No,
all have their points on the leaderboard. All have their points.
And so in terms of individuals, no, I believe that you need to have the courage to prove yourself first, right? We're gonna have to stop talking like people talk these days, which is, I've got no right, I've got no voice, but you know what? Because I am, therefore it should be, otherwise we'll cancel you. No. Go out there, earn the right to have a voice.
That's it. Earn the right.
Yes, but do it the right way. That's all I'm saying. I think you're 100% spot on, mate. You need to go in and you need to be the best. You need to have that hunger. And one of the ways you can be the best is by understanding there's enough for everybody. And in an office environment for a new salesperson, I'm trying to stop them, mate, go and be the best. I've spent my whole career trying to do it, not arguing at all, but it has to be done the right way. And that's where it gets scary, when you're in an office environment where it is every man for himself. The temptation to do the wrong thing just once, maybe if I just do this little thing wrong, I'll get away with this time and you'll get the result and the money will go on the board. It's a bloody good incentive to keep doing it, isn't it? Now, from a leadership point of view, which is, of course, it comes down to leadership.
What were you going to say, Chris? Because I could see you were.
I was going to ask Thomas. You started in an office that was you admitted had a bad culture, right?
Yeah.
Had no set of rules, right? So you had no option but to work your ass off to earn a voice, right? Which makes sense in an office with a good culture. It makes sense with either one. Do you think it'd be easier, and we're going into leadership in a minute anyway, but do you think it'd be easier for a salesperson coming into an office with a good culture, who have a supportive nature around them, supporting them to be able to achieve their goals? No?
I just ask you this question. How many times have you seen kids who are born in a very stable and rich family and end up being a bum? Mm-hmm. How many times have you seen kids that are struggling, see their parents struggle and have to fight and just build an empire? I think what the individual has to do is really to rely on himself or herself. I think that's the biggest thing. I learned because before I started in real estate sales, I was insurance salesperson, and I learned from my first leader: if it is to be, it is up to me. It's up to me. And so I upskill myself. When most of those guys came in the office at 9 o'clock, I was in the office at 7:15 studying, upskilling myself. When most of those guys were looking at how to hide their lunch from me, because I used to steal everyone's lunch. That was the only fault I have in terms of value. Maybe it was not good. Mind you, there were a lot of fat guys. Therefore, I was looking after them and keeping them thin. But what I was really looking at is how do I just upskill myself to beat them? How do I just go out there and go beyond what they could be doing? And I think that's what we need to be doing. Don't ask, what is it that they say when things get tough? Don't ask for things to get easier. Ask for you to become tougher. You know, and so if you upskill yourself, you will get there. I laugh. You put me in any office, I'll do this. However, as I said, don't be stupid. There are businesses where you're fighting with a knife when you start. It's not going to happen. I was working in an office where they said, here's the area, go and get it. And I went and get it. Now, so in some offices, I hear of people being sent like something like lunch pack distance away from the office, and that's the patch. And it was impossible for them to make a living. For me, I'll go where it is easier. Okay, and then in terms of leadership, where there is no leader, become the leader.
You know, when I still have a problem with it.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. No, I love it. I started the office I started had a very kumbaya culture, and most people say, "Oh, that's a good culture. Everyone gets along. Everyone looks after each other. No one shows anyone." There was a unwritten rule that you weren't allowed to show anyone else's property for 2 weeks after the listing.
It's a bad culture, though. But that's a shit culture.
Hang on.
But that's a shit culture.
Everyone got along really, really well, mate. It was a great culture, except when I got there, I was. Oh, no, he swore. I was broke. So I'm like, to hell with that, man. I'm going to work. I ran. And that's one of my points here. I was looking after me, right? And if everyone wanted to be all hugs and kisses and not show anything else, then that's was on them at the time. But I look back and I go, that was great for me, right? But what else did it do to the team? And that's where I wanted to bridge the gap into leadership. And when we talk about 400-pound gorillas, and we've seen, you know, we've been shown in seminars what can happen if one person's making all the money and the rest of the team isn't, what that does to a business, right? So where then is the line? Where do you have to start thinking team, TL as an individual and as a leader? It's all right. Yeah.
Chris, we're going to ask a question first.
It's all good. I was going to say, I was just going to say, of course, we've got to get to work. There's no question, right? When I started real estate, mate, it was 6 days a week. I burnt the boats. It was going to be real estate. I was going to succeed, and it was. And there was 3 other agents in there, and they were bludgers. And one of them actually come to me and said, "You don't have to work this hard." Well, no, I do. And I outperformed them within 6 months. So not within 1 month like Thomas, but it did take me a little while. But I worked my ass off. But I always feel, and I look back to that if I had an inclusive team that was like, "Mate, you do it this way, or you do it well, they won't make life easier, or if you get this and do it," a supportive team that showed me shortcuts for want of a better word, I think my journey at the beginning would have been easier. And that's where I disagree. I don't disagree. You've got to get your ass to work and grind and work your ass off. And there is credit in the struggle. I mean, there is credit in the struggle. But at the end of the day, I do believe a supportive culture within a business will help the new team members flourish quicker.
I
don't agree.
It's beautiful. Yeah. I don't agree. Like Chris, you look back and you went, "Oh, that would have been nice." But if you were going as hard as you said you were going, and I see this and I see it now, no matter how much advice you give and try and help someone, if it's all about them to start with, they won't listen to you anyway. And they're going to break their teeth on they're going to break their teeth on their own mistakes, regardless of what the wise old heads tell them, right? So it's easy to look back and say, oh, it would have been good for someone to give me advice. Would you have listened to it?
But I started when I was a lot older, mate. I started when I was 38. So I think I would have. I started real estate late in life. So, yeah, I think I would have.
No. Yeah, where I disagree with you is exactly what I said earlier. There are families where the kids are comfortable. They've got everything they need, the latest iPad, always the latest stuff, and they just end up being bums. Yeah, right? And now there's also families where the kids are in a rich area and really blossom. So it's about what is it that is inside them, you know? And I think that in terms of individual, the fire must be within.
Absolutely.
When someone says to me, this in my business, or this how far I am from work, or this and in my home, or this in my leader, I go, you're just pointing at things that are out there. I have not heard anything that is pointing about what's in you. What is it that is defying you? I have one young guy, he worked he's in our office. And when he first started with us, he was conscious, trying to just get our attention on the fact that he's carrying a bag around him because he's diabetes and he's got this, he's got that. And I could see the bag was almost like his excuse. And he was trying to sell it to me. So I took him aside after week 2 or 3, and I said to him, do you know, one day I can see on stage speaking, and what you're going to tell them is, I had diabetes, but I still decide to win. And you could see the light go on in his head. And now the kid is doing crazy stuff. And so I think the fire is within. Now, to work as a team, you can instigate the team. When I have to say this, that when I first started around John, there was no team. It was a business where the leader was surrounded by gorillas. Within the 2 years I was there and became a manager, we had a team. Yes, I had to move on we had to euthanize the gorillas. We had to make sure that we get like nice animals around, and we build a team. But you have to do it. And I have no problem doing that. Why? Because team always comes first.
Why would you do that, Theo? 400-pound gorillas, that's 1,600 pounds. That's a lot of cash.
Because but it doesn't matter. If you're going to be living by the value of money, then money is not a very good girlfriend. I have to say to you, money is a very, very bad girlfriend.
But you have the leader, right?
But if you don't care about money, money is a very jealous girlfriend. She wants to chase you. So what you have to do is to focus on work. Now, if I have gorillas, I get rid of them, because when I've seen it over and over in my entire career, and I've been in real estate now, 27 years, and I've seen teams, when the gorilla leaves, the entire team grows. It's almost like when you remove the large tree, you realize that it was the shade that it took away from the other trees around.
Does your gorilla have a weight limit though, TL? And I'm sick, I don't like talking about money, but I'm going to keep talking about money. Someone's bringing your business in $2 million a year.
Yeah.
The rest of your team is doing.
I will remove the gorilla any day.
$10 million.
Money, it should not be the issue. The day.
Right? Yeah. They see the bottom line. They see the bill.
If you are, then you will have zero business long term. So if you are a leader who's thinking of retiring the next 3 years, maybe you look at maintaining and controlling the gorilla, right? But if you are a leader who's really understanding, my young Kane, he's 20. I have to look after him. The Reese, he's 25. I have to look after him. I can't get a gorilla decimate that team. Then I must do something by the team. And I think that's what you see day in, day out in things like master and commander where the captain had to cut the rope and sacrifice one person. You see movies like in The Gladiator where the leader has to make these kind of decisions. Happens all the time. The only thing is the leader, the minute that he's thinking money, he's not thinking team. So now, if he's not thinking team, there's no team.
So we've gone to the very top of leadership, where in leadership we still work for ourselves sometimes rather than working for the team. But in the instance that you've just suggested, by getting rid of the gorilla for the good of the team, it's actually comes back around to working for yourself, because you're going to be able to retire quicker sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the people, the team that are the people who are holding on to gorilla, when you look, they have a hidden agenda, and the hidden agenda is, I'm about 5 years from retirement. If I can just hold on to it, I'm making money out of it right now. I think it's a disgrace by the juniors that are in there. And the question I always ask is, what if those juniors were your children? Oh, well, I wouldn't do that. Oh, but because they're not yours, but they're part of your team, and I thought that your team is a family, you still allow that. So I think that those leaders with double standards will always pay. They always end up paying the price.
100%. Yeah.
Right?
So a leader with bad culture, Thomas, do you think they realise that their team's got a bad culture? Do you think they're aware of that? Or do you think
it's a good question. Excellent question. I think that yes and no. I think if your makeup is that you work on greed, you're not good enough is driving you to get more and more and more to fill the void of not feeling not good enough, then greed is not going to do that, because it's about you first. And so it's as long as you're getting it's fine. If you are the other side, you will feel it. Now the problem is that what you don't really understand is that your behavior doesn't just affect the team, it affects everyone who lives around you, your family. You go home, you behave the same way. You don't even know you behave the same way. When you go home and you're the leader who's just looked after one gorilla, when you go home, you actually looked after one person. And if that one person is not worthy of you, you look after yourself. And this is when I see in some families where the father, he doesn't give a shit about the daughters, he just wants to look after the boys. Or or the mother who only looks after one child, the little daughter that she has, and the other child or the other children can go and get lost because that child is her little doll. So you see all that stuff happening all the time, and that is nothing else but the same that transpire in business.
I think, Chris, people disguise results for culture. Like you're saying, will people with a
disguise or
bad
mistake?
culture, hey?
Or they disguise or they mistake. They don't understand the difference.
They mistake. As long as the bottom line is where the bottom line needs to be. And again, we're on this. I've got a good culture because they're making the money, they're getting the results, and blah blah blah. But what we find in those sort of businesses or those sort of leaders, the minute that something changes, it's outside of their control, like a shift in the market, their culture all of a sudden doesn't exist because the bottom line has moved now, right? So I think we throw around the word culture too easily without fully understanding what it is, right? Culture is not your profit. We can't look at businesses and go, they're making money, they've got a good culture. They can't look at business and go, oh, they got two performers or one performer making a couple of $1 million a year, they must have a good culture, right? That's not the point, because when things shift, that's when the culture gets found out through good and bad. I know that, I get asked all the time, oh, gee, how is it out your way? It's tough down our way. And I'm like, well, no, it's great out our way. Plenty of people listing, plenty of people selling. Life's good, and that's the mindset, and everyone's doing everything the right way. So if you ask me about culture, and it's nothing to do with profit, I think we got a pretty bloody good one. Others are in the same market, losing people hand over fist, people doing the wrong thing hand over fist, but it coincided with the change in the bottom line. All of a sudden, culture, maybe not.
So are you saying, this is more of a question than a statement, if someone has got good staff retention, longevity, and their profitability is very good, ultimately looking from the outside, there should be a good culture, right?
You would think.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, okay.
Not necessarily.
Good staff retention could mean that people are just happy to have a job.
If they've got good profitability, I mean, if they're
very
profitable.
good. Very good question.
Good question.
It's a very good question. I think to me, a good business is gauge on how fast they can get someone who got no idea into becoming a top performer. That's a good business. A business that is retaining top performers could be taken hostage by 2 mafiosi. Right? Or 5 mafiosi. I'm just taking 2 for the sake of it. So I've seen offices where the retention is high. Why? Because when you're new, you had to pass over the leads. Yeah, you're feeding the top gun. You've got no idea. But when I see an office when someone starts and within a few months they at the top of the tree in terms of listing, now that's a top office. Now that is an office where there's leadership. And I'm starting to see more and more of that. You know, I just employed a guy who said to me, you know, I've got a few guys who want to join. And I said to him, just tell them next. And he said, but they don't want calling me and they want to know. I said, next. This is how we are here. That's how we behave here. And I think that for myself as a leader, I must set the tone for sure. Deep inside, I'm thinking, oh, what if it is a $2 million performer? You always have those kind of moments. But then what I always use is, in the end, they will treat you the way they treat their worst enemy. If they really hurt the other leader to join you, they will do the same when they leave you. And then you have to also look at how do you want your parents to be treated? Well, in a nice way. Well, then you treat the other person in a nice way. So I think it's about monkey see, monkey do. Listen, man, I have had people who would want to join me straight away, but you just have to bite your tongue and you have to say no. You have to push back. And why? And maybe sometimes it is protecting the other offices, and maybe sometimes it's a loss. But in the end, I go, are we doing the right thing? And that's more important. I think leadership is so crucial. You can't become a team until we have a leader. And this is why we're talking about leadership now. There is no team unless there is a leader. There's a bunch of rat bags. There's a bunch of mercenary without leadership, and they can still make money. They can still do well, but at what cost? You having a heart attack? You're destroying other kids along the way. I think it's a disgrace.
Isn't that something you said, Thomas, in one of our seminars as well? You can't call yourself a leader without a team as well. Isn't that something you said? Am I remembering that rightly? Yeah.
What?
You can't call yourself a leader without a team, because you can always manage yourself, but if you can't manage other people, sorry, yeah.
But what is a team? A team is not a bunch of individuals.
Exactly.
A team is a bunch of individuals who are in agreement to run and live by the procedure manual from the office. That's the
Trying to get that before. You can run and fight to be the best all you want, but if you're doing it against your teammate, or you're doing it against your leader, or you're doing it against that procedure manual, then that's where the line's got to be drawn.
Now let's ask about ourselves another questions here. How come it is impossible to have a team sometimes? I'll start by saying the first thing, right? There's no way you have a team when the leader doesn't understand the value of training. There's no team.
Yeah.
I have done this for long enough. When I see a leader not valuing training, I see zero team, no chance. And I don't care. I forgot. I didn't know my team is sick. No chance.
We got a
The leader doesn't
we got a
give you-
we got a lead the other day. We got a lead the other day from an agent from another brand in our area, in our area. And I know that office, and I know someone else who works in that office, and there's 6 or 7 agents in that office, all commission only, who would have gladly taken the $1.8 million lead at Shelley Beach.
Wow.
But someone from a different brand gave it to us. So is there something to be said for you? You can't have a team if your structure is wrong. If you've got 7 commission only agents sitting in the one office where they're completely, and the owner's just sitting there taking 20% or 30% or 40%, whatever the split is it possible to have a team in that environment?
Well,
I'm thinking this lady's talking on the phone. I'm going, why the hell, like, love you, but why would you be giving this to us?
Yeah.
What the what? What the what?
No, I blanked that bit out. I self-bleeped.
We
That's
heard
how
it.
good.
Sure we
That's
heard it.
how good. That's how good that office is going, right?
that's terrible.
So there's an office that's clearly, mate. I don't even understand it but is that down to the structure of the office, the business setup, rather than?
Yeah.
No trust.
There's absolutely no trust. There's no
Trust within the
loyalty.
business.
There's no
And that
loyalty.
comes down from the leader. The leader's not trusting his staff, so the staff doesn't trust the leader.
So in that office, there's clearly no culture, and they don't work as a team.
There's
They
always culture. There's always culture.
Oh,
You
of
get culture
course.
from chiefs,
there's no
right?
good culture.
But
There's no good culture.
But it's terrible, terrible culture.
But
She
yeah,
wants a 10% referral fee, so she couldn't look over and go, listen, I don't even like you, but for 10% you can have this listing instead.
exactly.
Wants to give it to us.
I would have given it 20.
So they're probably using the fact of having 7 or 8 offices under the one umbrella to look like a team, but they're not a team at all.
There's agents in the one office. There's only one office.
Yeah,
There's 8 agents. They're all commission only.
yeah, but within the same office, under the one umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rule book in that office is wrong.
Exactly.
Obviously, she won't get a referral fee for referring to someone within that office. So the rule book within the office is wrong.
That's
Smart.
what I'm saying. Is the setup of the office. That's the question I was asking. Is the structure of
smart. She's smart. She made more by giving it to Cam than her own office.
No, she's done because she's going to ask twice as much. But anyway, and he still would have given it to her. But yeah.
I normally ask 20. I'll give it to you.
Here's another question, because we're now coming close to our end. But here's another question: how, if I was a brand newie, how do I know if I'm going to be around a top leader?
Because
I think speak to the staff members before you even go for the interview. Give them a call.
Okay, that's one.
Most of their phone numbers are on the bloody internet.
What about you, Ken?
This might be very superficial, but I think you can judge a lot by the interview.
yeah,
Just ask you. I've done a lot of interviews lately, and a few of them have stopped me and said, "Shit, I've never been asked these questions before ever." And I'm like, "Well, what have you interviewed at other real estate offices?" "Yes." "Well, what did they ask you?" "How old am I? What have I done in the past? And who are your references?" So I think if you're not getting challenged in your interview, you're probably not heading into a right spot.
yeah, it's a good point.
Okay.
Good point.
Not the
You can
answer
tell
you
a lot
want
from
to
the
TL, but
interview.
you're
I mean-
saving up for it, mate. I didn't want to steal all your answers, TL.
I'll tell you what, you're right, Cam, there. You can tell a lot from the interview on both sides, yeah? On both sides.
I can't tell from the interview. I've been around leaders, mate. They talk the talk, they never walk it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I've sat around leaders who mate, I'm never sick, mate. I always train, mate. And I know you're never trained and you're never there. Okay? So I know you're lying to me already, but it works with a lot of people. So I disagree to that. You can't, there's guys that are very good at interviews. You know,
You can go down the lines of, they do what they say they're going to do, but in your instance, TL, or to some extent my instance, like you're relying on telling people that no one's ever going to see you list 8 properties in a month again, right? So they've got to trust in the fact that you have, and you did.
Mm.
So leading by example is one thing, but how do we judge that when we're leaders and we?
No, I don't think you can, because 8 was my first month. My best month was 19 exclusive listings. So 8 was my first month.
Well, I
Now,
believe you, mate. I'd never doubt you. But
people don't have to believe me. What I think that people need to do, it's a very, very good question. You can believe one lie, but you never believe every lie.
Yeah.
You're around someone long enough, you can see a pattern and you can see whether there's a lie. I keep on saying to Cam, catch me once where I've lied. Once, just once, I give you 100% of the business.
you told me you could sing.
And, but
He's tone deaf. He thinks he can.
personally believe this is how you see the quality of a leader. Look at his family.
Yeah.
The family will tell you everything about the leadership.
But a new staff member won't be able to see that, though, Thomas.
But they will, because after a few months, when they're around, they will see it. The other thing that they need to see it, so I'm answering now your question, look at how fast they're grooming their performers to flying on their own. My biggest dream is how fast Kane's gonna fly, how fast Ree's gonna fly. That's my biggest dream. When you've been around me 20 years and all you're doing is still selling, it's not so good.
He's left me out of his dreams. That's
You're too heavy to fly, mate.
Nightmare. You're in his
You're
nightmare.
having some work on round.
No,
That's a bloody good point. Look at this. Show to the thing.
I said fly. All right. No way you can fly. You need to look at yourself.
I'm a blame. Yeah.
You're still running fast, but
Flap, mother trucker, flap.
I think Thomas is onto something. If you're doing your research, look a couple of levels deep. Don't look at what the top performers are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Look if there's anyone else on realestate.com with any sales next to their name. Look at, everyone knows someone, especially like where we are on the Central Coast. Everyone knows someone who's in real estate, right? And you'll go, oh, so-and-so's been doing it for 4 years. Hang on, I'll have a look. What? They've got no sales and no listings. No, chances are they do. It just wasn't given to them. So look deeper than what the top people are making.
Look how they talk to their receptionist is a good clue. I mean, because we did say going into an interview, how many times have you heard, just the way they talk to their front of staff, it's
I'd also suggest going back to your interview thing, Cam, would be, don't be scared to ask them a lot of questions. If you're the salesperson going for the job, arm yourself with some good, solid questions, things that may frazzle the normal person. Something like, if you were to give feedback, how would you prefer to give that to one of your staff members? Or how would you prefer to receive feedback? Something they've got to stop and think and see their answers.
I've got a better one, mate. I've got a better one. And I might have stolen it from someone's book I might have read a couple of times recently. Sit down and ask me what I'm going to do for you. Right? Sit down in my interview and go, I say, oh, so why do you want to be in real estate? My interview was a shambles, but the start of it was perfect. Someone asked me, so Cam, why real estate? I said, I don't know. You called me. Tell me why real estate. And God's honest truth, that was the answer I gave, because I didn't know. My real estate story is a pretty funny one, but mate, the day someone sits down in front of me and says, don't worry about what I can do for you, what can you do for me, you're going to have my attention, right?
Yeah.
And if the person who asks a question to can't answer it, there's a pretty bloody good sign.
That's what I'm saying. If that person, if the prospective employee salesperson arms themselves with those few good questions, they get a very good feeling at that interview, I reckon. Listen to your gut.
Yeah.
TL and I together have given some people a hard time in some interviews, because depending on where we're at and what questions we feel like asking. But I reckon if someone walked in there and said, hang on, you two, how about you tell me what you're going to do for us? I reckon both of us would nearly fall off our chairs.
Yeah.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
That's because you're sitting on the ground.
I've done 4,000 interviews, man. I can tell you, mate, there's not a question where they can catch me.
Has anyone ever asked you that, Tia? Honestly, because I'm so sick of hearing I like houses.
Because before they sit in front of me, they're already trembling. So most of the time, the questions are very, very easy on me. No one's come out with a silly question, because the minute they do, I give them those kind of Yoda kind of eyes, and they go, maybe ask a question.
I interviewed someone last week, and she said to me, "Oh, I just want to help people." I said, "No, you don't." That was my straight out of my mouth. Yes, I do. I just want to help people. I said, "There's so many better ways of helping people in real estate. Go and start. What are you doing?" "No, I honestly want to help people." I'm like, "Listen, you don't. I've already interviewed 5 people who've told me they like houses and they want to help people." Anyway, 30 minutes later, she wants to help her dad and her brother pay the bills at the house and do all this stuff. She went home and she said to her dad, "He told me I was full of it." And her dad said, "You ring him and tell him you'd love a job there." And she did. And that she's going to start with us in the next couple of weeks. But don't awesome. Go in and...
We've got someone doing building tippies or outside Louise' place. I mean, it's nice when you have acres, you can do anything you want next to the house. Now,
the cover on the bird.
It's 6:16 now. I just wanted to say to people who may be listening and who have listened that we have picked the winner for this week.
The one.
Yeah, the person's going to be joining us for a very nice lunch at China Dole.
You said they got cut off. No one answered you last week.
And the people
who... problem with your procedure manual, it keeps changing.
Some of the people got invited by me. So there's going to be quite a few friends tomorrow, I think. What are you going to say? What are you going to say, Kev?
It's not going to swear.
Yeah, there's something wrong with this sound. What did you say?
Hey,
local carnal knowledge.
What? The internet's pretty bad here, like the drainage. Jesus Christ.
Now, the only thing that I have said to those people who've been invited.
Don't stitch them up. Hey, listen.
That tomorrow at 12 o'clock when we're there.
Stab you in the thigh with a fork.
You can't feel sorry for Cam, because if you did feel sorry for Cam, you'll never be invited back, because that means that you want him to continue the behavior. We would like him to get rid of the behavior. I mean, it's unfortunate we have not heard he actually almost let slip one.
No, I didn't. No, I did it on purpose. But that's people try and stitch up. I don't ask you to feel sorry for me, people. I ask you to feel sorry for my wife and starving children. Because every dollar that it's Isaac's birthday in 6 weeks, and every dollar that bill goes up is one less spoke on his new bike. Okay?
Cam, we'd believe if they were starving if you were slim.
That's what I feel sorry for Isaac, because that's what his dad does, spending all his toys money to strangers. And I really feel bad for Isaac in that respect. But I feel good because we made, and you're showering us with gifts and food and drinks tomorrow.
I'm just really upset Lou couldn't be there.
I'm sure you're devastated.
I haven't slept for a week, Lou, I promise.
I'm going to get Scott Matthews to fly up, pick you up, Lou, and bring you down. That's so you can come and join us.
Well, you got family, don't you? You got your family there.
I do. I have my family here from the Sunshine.
You dressed up the tent outside. They're sleeping outside?
Yeah, I put them in the bird cage. Yeah, no, that was Steve covering the pigeons. But yeah, no, I do. Pigeons. I have, pigeons.
They're really good, slow cooked.
Yeah, lunch.
A bit of lemon, beautiful.
Not these ones. So yeah, but anyway.
Well, as you know, next week is our what is it? Our first our 1st of September one.
Yep.
And so the week after, we're going to be off because we're having a leadership seminar. So this is why the next podcast is going to be on leadership. What is it that we think leadership is in real estate? And I think some of our salespeople who are listening are really going to be thinking about, all right, why should that concern me? Well, if you're aspiring to be a leader one of these days, it should concern you. And I think that's what we're going to be doing. And I don't know, should we decide next week about who to invite for the following lunch?
I'll tell you what leadership isn't. It isn't trying to send your mates broke over some rule that changes overnight like that and then setting it up. That's not leadership. That's being an asshole.
He just
Oh,
No, we're allowed to say that. No. Everyone, hey, you know the thing about assholes, everyone's got to have one. All right?
everyone's got one.
You can't.
But do you see how lenient we are on him?
With me.
We want to look after you, man. Do you see how much we let you off, man? It's just amazing. Anyway, tomorrow we're gonna order probably one of each on the menu, and we probably
That's
gonna
the
have.
wine list we're talking about.
No, the wine. We're gonna go easy.
Just remember, mate, there's 4 of them, and I can't do 4 if we're going stupid every time. So let's warm up into it.
Hey,
There's
then
a big hole in the backyard I've got to fill. Let's go and pull.
you control yourself. Then you'll be
I
fine.
reckon we get, if someone gets the 4, they pay for 1. So you got to build up. If you get
What
4,
about the carry
twice,
on?
you pay
What
for
about the
one,
carry
right?
on? I swore 3 times on that. So
You can always try to avoid it, Chris.
Hey?
You know what? Chris is watching tomorrow what we're eating, Cam, and
This
he's
is only coming to get out of prospecting. Don't worry about it. Some of us have got work to do. Some of us have got work to do, mate. That's all right.
No, I've invited quite a few friends tomorrow. We're gonna be good. You will not be lonely. Okay, we all got to support. So you're gonna feel the support. Now, let's close this session here with a bit of advice or one liner if we can.
Great
Good
support,
job.
guys.
Well done. Good job.
Okay.
We can't do it in one line. She's no chance.
Oh, no.
Because you came up with a subject this week, we will close. So let's start. I'll start, and my start is very simple. Start as an individual, earn the voice, all right, the right to build the right team. That's my Chris.
Pretty weak.
Bloody hell, you're putting me on the spot.
He's got-
Train. New salesperson, train. Train like there's no tomorrow. Train. If you're by yourself, train by yourself. But train.
That's,
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Don't tell them my secret, man.
Yeah. I think, Thomas, you hit the nail on the head. If it is to be, it's up to me. And that's the mindset you should begin with, and that's the mindset you should end with. Because you can join it. I'm going to stop because Cam's giving me the roll eye. But
no, I'm trying to condense what I want to say into one line.
yeah, well, this is what I'm trying.
Thomas is wrong. What?
No, that's it. If it is to be, it's up to me. And if you have that mindset, you can't be blaming or using excuses. There you go.
But by the way, before he closes off, your office, I love it, Lou.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. What a beautiful atmosphere. And when I love to not just look at the team, I love to feel the team. And I thought it was top. Now you're gonna close, big man.
I forgot what I was going to say. How many paper clips you got in your office, Lou?
Wouldn't have a clue.
I need them to hold a TV together in our office.
He doesn't know how much is tomorrow.
Oh,
More than paper clips. Let's put it that way.
go Cam, go.
Google got rich by helping as many people as humanly possible. Focus on that, and the rest will take care of itself.
Good advice.
Nice line. Thanks, guys.
Very good.
Chris, see you tomorrow. Lou, I'm so sorry you couldn't join.
Tomorrow, yeah.